New World Fantasy Football, episode 22. I am in space today. I'd rather be there than on our planet Earth because out here, I don't feel like I'm 0-3 in fantasy, even though I am. Paul, talk to me, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's good to be back with all you fantasy fools. Obviously, Andrew was flying the spaceship, shall we say, solo while I was gone, and did an awesome job recapping the games. For me, actually, I needed a recap of the games because I just got off the grid. I just completely faded out of football for about 7 or 8 days.
Nice, man. Good for you. Usually that comes later in the season. I guess, you had a trip planned regardless, but, hopefully
Yeah,
that rejuvenates you and your squad feels ready to fight for you, man, yeah. So, yeah, man.
absolutely. This is the earliest it's ever happened after week 2. I promise you, I didn't throw in the towel, folks, but it's just kind of the way it went. I wanted to do like a full disconnect and actually enjoy the time out there in Seattle and British Columbia, which is beautiful, by the way. Super underrated if anybody is into outdoorsy type of stuff. Super cool, and I enjoyed it. I got up on my mountaintop when finishing an arduous hike after seeing that my team was well on its way to get shellacked, which of course it did. Put my phone right back on airplane mode, got to the top of that mountain and did a little bit of meditation and self-reflection and went and 3, which is exactly what all my leagues did this week. I went 0 and 3. So I guess with our weekly vibe check, that's where my vibes are at. Real life vibes, very high. On vacation, awesome. Football vibes, pretty much as low as they can be. My teams are not looking very strong right now, trending in a concerning direction. But we fight on. Where are your vibes at, Cheesy?
Well, my vibes are basically my personal life and my football life are just one and the same. So lucky for you, you get to just separate them and be all cool. No, this is my life, and
Normally,
it sucks, and it's going down like the guy fucking Titanic. Okay, I feel like I'm about to explode in a goddamn submarine. No,
It imploded. That's something.
excuse me. Yeah, well, I guess that's what I'm doing is imploding. I'm keeping a smile on the outside, but on the inside, I'm absolutely imploding over my pathetic squad I have in our main league and trying to make trades. And people offer me Jalen Warren for Terry McLaurin. And I'm like, dude, you realize that I
You got Jalen Warren offers as well, I see.
Oh, yeah. Okay. From those who shall not be named. But I need to win now, not in week 8. I'm 0-3. If I was 3-0, maybe. But anyways, no, it's an understandable offer. It just wasn't going to work for me right now. And so, anyways, yeah, I have another league where I'm 2-1. I had a fantastic week there, so I can't just focus on the negative. Like I was actually I was a little nervous for a minute because I'm probably was playing against the most stacked team in the league, and I beat them by like 30 points, but I scored like 180 some odd points. And yeah, I'd say average score in that league is what? Between 120, maybe 130 on the higher end.
It's for context, it's a little bit of a deeper league. We have 2 flex spots on top of all the standard.
And a tight end. And
on top of all the standard spots. So like 120 is like a decent, a pretty good week. 130, 140 is a good week. So yeah, you freaking blew it up. I saw that.
Yeah, I had a great week there. Between Justin Jefferson, Raheem Mostert. Who else did I have? Well, Justin Herbert did well. And my Browns defense did solid. I just had a solid week all around for the most part. So yeah, vibes are
pretty much the exact opposite of what your team did in our main league.
Well, the sad thing is, like in the main league that we're in, I feel like I think I had like one bad week, but I've had a few good weeks, like solid weeks. Just not they just were against
Just weren't winning.
better
weeks.
matchup. The matchup I was against just did better. So it's unfortunate, but that's fantasy for you. So, anyways, man, what else do you want to talk about? Let's talk about some news.
No. I think we both know exactly where our football vibes are at. Our football vibes are desperation time. You can't go 0-4, bro. Like, I know you're very positive when you give encouragement to the listeners of the show that don't stop fighting, but 0-4 is tough. 1-3, 1-3, you're all right. You're okay.
0-4.
Cannot go 0-4.
I'm on my way to 0-4 too, because I unfortunately started Aaron Jones, so that sucks. But dude, what else am I gonna do? Like, I'm not gonna just stop playing. That's not in my DNA to just like have a team that's just sitting there and I'm not doing anything to it or with it. Like, I'm gonna try. It's all I can
survive
do.
in advance.
I try to have the integrity with the leagues. Like, I'm not that kind of guy that's just gonna like mail it in and be an inactive manager. It's just not me. Even if I'm 0-8, like, I'm gonna try to play spoiler or do something, So it's whatever.
No doubt. That's why you're in our league, man. We try to keep just the best 10 in there, and you're certainly that. But you're right. We should move on from our own personal selfish vibes into some NFL vibes out there. When we were kind of setting up for the show, I kind of figured it'd be easier to get into. There's a lot of injuries going on, but I thought it would be easier to get into those as we preview the week.
I agree,
and just kind of do it like piece by piece as we go through. So don't think of this news as like, oh, these are the only things we're going to talk about. Like, we're going to talk about all of it. But just as far as injuries, I kind of felt like we would just save those.
We could save that. So some things to talk about. Well, Chandler Jones is arrested, and that guy went crazy. Okay.
Yeah, no, I saw that. Like, I only really saw like when I fired my social media back up when we came back from the trip. I saw some stuff where he put out. He's like, oh, like, like, I'm good. Like, I'm hanging out with some strippers. It's all good. And then he was released by the team. Like, what is going on with this guy? But he was arrested.
He was arrested or something. Yeah, something like that. I think he was arrested. I don't even really know what for. I don't know, man. The guy's just not mentally stable. And it's kind of sad to see. You hate to see somebody kind of go off the deep end like that. But yeah, and then more
as if Vegas was not already enough of a dumpster fire.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, well, that's another piece of news. Jimmy G is out tomorrow. So it will be either everybody's favorite journeyman Brian Hoyer or the rookie Aiden O'Connell. I really would rather see Aiden O'Connell out there and see what he can do.
Yeah, my guess is it's probably Brian Hoyer.
Probably
just because that's more of a job saver to roll his dusty ass out there. I'll be honest, I didn't know he was still out there. But I guess that's just the NFL's like favorite thing is that we recycle the same, gritty NFL, journeyman out there. But yeah, I know we'll kind of get more into the implications of like what that's actually going to look like fantasy wise on the Vegas team. But yeah, that's stock down for sure.
What else we got? Trevor Siemian is back in the NFL. He's on the Jets now, and we will see. I don't think he's going to be active for tomorrow night's game. So I'm honestly I hope there's some bets out there of like, I'm not the biggest betting person, but like, what quarter does Zach Wilson get pulled? I mean, I feel like it's going to happen. I just have this hunch that he's going to get benched. Like, at some point in tomorrow night's game, he's going to get benched. I have that feeling. The only reason it might not happen is just because they're like, screw it, we're not going to put in Tim Boyle. Because what does he even give us anyway?
Shit. If I was the Jets pass catching options, I'd rather see Trevor Siemian out there. I mean, as bad as he is,
I have Garrett Wilson on my bench in a league, and That's it. Trent McDuffie's a good corner. Is he going to follow him? I don't really know, but I can't trust Garrett because of Zach. And it's sad, but it's reality.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that.
So we're on bench watch.
We'll talk about that too.
Jameson Williams.
Yeah. That was who I was going to talk about next. Well, one of my struggling squad does have Jameson Williams on it, so I hope he can come back and give me a boost. And poor Calvin Ridley. You know, he had to sit out a whole year, and then this dude gets off easy. You know, it's like your parents. It's like when your parents used to ground you, and you're like, you're grounded for a week. And then you see your sister get like, you're grounded for a week, and then 2 days later, she's like doing her thing. Like, what the hell is this shit?
And then you find out you're not the favorite.
Nope. But I'm happy he's going to be on a football field. Hopefully he's healthy, because he not only was he sus, he was also injured.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
who knows, man? I mean, I'm not going to start him week 5, but
he's had plenty of rest. Obviously, like, I really don't know what the details of his suspension were, like if he's able to still practice with the team and all of that. Yeah, I didn't think so. I kind of like was.
He couldn't even go to the facility and use the trainers.
Yeah, so I gotta feel like they're gonna try to slowly work him back in, because like if you're not out there practicing and you don't know what's going on, it kind of makes me feel like you're not gonna just jump into 98% of the snaps and 12 targets in the first week. But he's extremely talented. Very excited to see how they work him in. So I thought that was some good fantasy news and an otherwise bummer first 3 weeks of news.
Oh yeah, lots of injuries, sad injuries, impactful for fantasy injuries. That's all I really got for the news, though. You got anything else?
No, I'm good as well. I'm ready to dive into a full slate here.
So quickly, we'll recap the. Did you watch any of the Green Bay Detroit game?
I did actually. Okay. So I got into town pretty much right as that game was kicking off, and realized that I sort of intentionally / unintentionally started the Goff Gibbs stack, and it was an entire game of sadness for me. So yeah, that's where we started.
Monty just mopped up all the scoring opportunities.
Good grief.
I did have him started in the Megalo Bowl based off of like just not many other options, and that worked out. And the guy I was playing had the Packers defense that got him -2.
How is your mega team doing?
Awful as well. I haven't won yet. Yeah. Well,
you're off to a good start this week.
And hopefully Cooper Kupp is also back week 5. That will help me a lot. But anyways, yeah, so Jordan Love is one of those players that it's hard for him to have a really bad fantasy day, which is encouraging. He looked terrible. I mean, he was terrible in the first half, and the second half was a little bit better. I think Detroit still pretty much had it in hand. They let up some points, but Jordan Love, with some rushing ability that he has, and he's a fighter. What I noticed about him was this is the first time I've really gotten to watch Jordan Love like all the way through a game. He stays pretty even keel and doesn't freak out. He has a lot of composure, and that was really nice to see. Even though they're getting smacked in the face, he stayed pretty calm, and second half he came out poised, and they did better. Obviously they weren't able to win. Detroit was just too good for him, but yeah, I was encouraged by that.
Yeah, that's a good takeaway.
The running backs were horrible. Aaron Jones was not all the way back from his injury. They'll get the running game going later in the season. Maybe next game.
Do you think that was more of a product of Bakhtiari being out? Like what did you kind of see out there?
I don't think that was the main issue. I just think that they very early on got forced into a pass-heavy game script, and it kind of snowballed for most of the first half. Well, all the first half. And the second half was pretty much like, we're only going to run if we think it's like a sneaky play. They're not going to – their game plan was not to run the ball anymore. And on top of that, especially for Aaron Jones, he was on the snap count. So he'll be fine. A.J. Dillon, he just sucks when he's healthy. Just fucking drop the guy. He sucks. I mean, okay, keep him as an insurance back if you have Aaron Jones, I guess. But God, he's pretty much like a chunkier.
Like, what's going to happen, right? Like, this is my exact same feeling on Josh Kelly. Like, okay, cool. Like yes, like you feel like you have to start a starting running back that gets all that volume. That's cool. But like, if they're not good, then it's like, how much do you really feel like compelled to start them, right? So, yeah, I mean, AJ Dillon, I think is the rare example of, I think, something we talked about another time, that it is possible to be a very physically gifted, big and fast running back and just not be good. Just not be good at the game of football. And he just does not seem to he just doesn't seem to like make anything happen. Like if a hole opens up for him, he can get through it. Like he has made some plays, but I just don't think the vision, the creativity, the cutting, like I just don't think any of that is there. Like he's an overhyped, overpriced short yardage hammer is really what AJD is.
True. And I don't think, I will just say this, I don't think that their scheme fits his style either. It's geared to Aaron Jones.
That's fair. That's fair.
So whatever. Moving on from him though. I do want to talk about some of these pass catchers though for Green Bay. Quickly, if you started Musgrave, like all the pundits said, you were very pissed off. It was an unfortunate circumstance. He got like one target. I think he caught it, but for like very low yardage, and got a concussion. So he was out of the game. So you got pretty much almost goosed by him.
If you start a streaming tight end, you have to understand that there is a like 80% chance that you're going to get an almost goose, and that's just what it is.
Yeah. Their wide receivers are interesting.
They are.
Jaden Reed looks like a solid little player. Christian Watson was just finally coming back from injury. It's like a repeat of last year. He was hurt for the first 3 weeks.
It's like what, 3 catches, a touchdown. This man's an animal. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It feels unsustainable.
His touchdown rate is, but the one that actually is a bit of a surprise for me, Romeo Doubs looks like he's the favorite. I mean, week 3, he got 12 targets. This past Thursday, he got 13 targets and 9 catches off that. So Romeo Doubs, he's probably picked up everywhere just about, but he looks like he could actually be a pretty good fantasy impact. Jordan Love likes him, and Jordan Love's developed behind Rodgers to be a pretty decent QB. Other than that, it's kind of just whatever. Those other guys, not really substantial for fantasy.
Yeah, well, and look, I saw the exact same thing you did. I mean, obviously, at least for right now, Dobbs is the guy. I think that some of that will even out over time, as Watson gets back up to speed, just because I think Watson is just profiles like athletically as a guy that should command more targets. But ultimately, at the end of the day, as a fantasy manager, you have to trust what you are physically seeing, and he's getting a ton of targets and being productive with it. I'll admit it. That was my thing. Dobbs has probably boomeranged on my teams, probably more than anybody in our league for the last 2 seasons. But I faded him, partially his fault, partially not his fault. He goosed me in a really critical situation last year, and I've kind of like had a negative connotation around his name because of that. But
yeah,
he looks great right now, and he does have that connection with Love.
He does. Detroit's interesting. They have a certain running back that everyone is pissed off about. He's not getting the carries we want, not getting the targets, fantasy managers may want. Did I predict this or what? Like, I was saying this in the NFC North preview, how Monty is insanely undervalued in drafts. And he's proving that every week because he plays. Because he's got 5 touchdowns in 3 games played.
Yeah, and I definitely agreed with that. I mean, obviously, like, it really felt like each player was falling into like their specific role. Like Gibbs was going to be the DeAndre Swift role, and Monty was going to be the
Jamal Williams, the
Jamal
hammer.
Williams role.
Which, that's true, but he's also just getting like the bulk of the work.
Yeah, that's the part that was surprising to me. Is it doesn't surprise me that Monty's gotten a lot of touchdowns, and it didn't really surprise me that he got a ton of work in the first 3 weeks. But week 4, on a short week, coming off of an injury for an older running back, they give this man 33 totes. Honestly, dude, I don't care what anybody said. That doesn't make sense to me.
Dan Campbell doesn't care about your fantasy team.
Well, Dan Campbell should care about his players.
I think he does. I think that's why he's not putting Jameer out there, because he doesn't feel like Jameer is truly ready for a bigger role. It could be a muscle mass thing. You know, it could be like they see him in practice and he just doesn't have the physicality just yet for him to carry that much of a load. That would be my guess, is he's trying to protect the kid a little bit. I think he's going to be just fine. I think we got to remember too, in fantasy football, shit changes with the, snap your fingers. Like, we can fast forward to like mid-February. I'm sorry, I meant to say November, mid-November, and Jahmyr Gibbs is like been a top 3 running back for the last few weeks. That can absolutely happen. I'm not out on Jahmyr Gibbs at all. I would love to trade for the guy, but man.
No, I completely agree with that, and I do hear what you're saying. What I was saying really with the whole Dan Campbell thing is that, like, it just seems a little reckless. A guy coming off a soft tissue injury, getting that much run and that much burn. They have another thumper in their running back room too, if that's really what you wanted and you were salting a game away where you smashed the opponent. That's all fine, but whatever. It is what it is. I felt like I knew that Gibbs was going to take a while to get rolling. I just think the disappointment of fantasy managers is it's taking longer than we expected. And the big disconnect in fantasy with rookies is what is a really small portion of the season. So let's say this goes on for 6 weeks, right? That's about a little over a third of the actual NFL season. Through 6 weeks, if a highly drafted player is not producing, anything that happens after that basically doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, people are stuck in their opinion on them.
Well, they're stuck in their opinion, but Andrew, our seasons are 13 weeks before the playoffs, right? So like that's half your season essentially down the drain right there. Like what God forbid, what if this happened with Bijan, right?
Oh yeah, I'd be like, what the fuck? I mean, Tyler Algier is still already a pain in the ass, but it is
right.
What it is.
Exactly. So that's the whole thing. That's why it's tough for fantasy managers, because it's like, okay, in real football terms, 6 weeks is NBD. In terms of fantasy, your season is kind of made or broken at that point. Realistically. So I think that's where you're hearing my personal frustration about it, but I'm sure I'm not alone there. But Detroit's for real. They get to do whatever they want because they're for real, and they're gonna win that division handily.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about them right now too is they look pretty dominant. They got beat by Seattle in a shootout, but like, dude, they are for real. Amon-Ra is great. He's always going to produce. I don't care who's around him. And if Jameson Williams comes back and he's like ready to go, that offense is going to be scary, man.
Yeah.
Scary. And then especially when they start working Jahmyr Gibbs in even more, like they're one of those teams that's becoming a lot like the Eagles, where, well, besides the rushing ability of the quarterback, they can beat you in so many ways. And that makes the defense just like shaking their boots.
Yeah, and the crazy part that we haven't talked about yet, and I think we're probably ready to move on from it. I agree with everything you said. Their offense is everything that we expected, and maybe even a little bit better than we expected in different ways. But, dude, like, their defense has been good. Like, that's really been the surprise. Like, we knew their offense was going to be great. but their defense has been pretty dang good.
And it's something to be said about, like, when it works, you can't really knock it, because people were like all up in arms and, oh, you spent high draft capital on a running back and a linebacker and a safety and all this shit. I'm like, dude, Jack Campbell's a freaking awesome player. He was like the most polished linebacker to come out of college football in a long time. And then Brian Branch is damn good in his own right. And Aiden Hutchinson, obviously, the Jags are idiots. I mean, Trayvon Walker pick over Aiden Hutchinson was a fail.
Yeah.
But, like, my God, they've got a lot of studs on that defense, on every level of that defense, to become a potentially elite defense going forward. Maybe not this season, but yeah, I mean, okay, that's enough about Detroit. I can gush about them for a long time, man.
Absolutely. Although I will only just say, interesting that Campbell gets a whole lot of burn and usage as a rookie. Interesting.
Because he's their best player. He's their best linebacker already.
Yeah, I don't know. I think running back is a young man's game, and I think it will happen eventually, but not in a time frame that is going to be very actionable or useful for my team, which makes me sad. That's okay.
Put some baby powder on that ass. I know you're upset, your butt hurt. It's calm down. Gibbs will be fine. But anyways,
no, my team won't be. He'll be fine. My team won't be fine.
Okay,
I know he'll be fine.
London, Atlanta versus the basically England Jags.
Yeah, the Jaguars.
Yes. have some tea and crumpets while we watch our Jaguars. Yeah, well,
I liked your accent better.
They're in London again, and the Jaguars will be facing a guy named London, and we'll get to him, but we'll start with the Jags, man. Who are you excited to start in this game? Anybody? Nobody?
Yeah. Well, I guess, like, first and foremost, not to completely bury the lead, like, it feels like in their second home a get-right game for the Jags, and they freaking need it. They need it badly. But, like, who am I excited to start? I mean, I think pretty much, like, the main people that you would be starting anyway, I think are pretty strong starts this week. I don't see any reason why Bijan can't be great. With Nose Jones and that consolidation of targets, I think Ridley's a go. Revenge game narrative, blah.
Yeah.
And I think Kirk. I think Kirk's in play too. With a 43 over under, I think there's room in their offense for a couple of receivers to get some burn, but obviously with a wide receiver too in this offense.
Ingram's going to be a good start as well. I think Ingram's going to be a good start in this game.
Yeah.
I actually think he's going to score a touchdown. I'm not.
Is he?
No,
okay.
He's not in there. He's not in there, but I do think he's going to score a touchdown in this game. I'm not going to guarantee it, but yeah. And then on the Atlanta side, obviously you start Bijan, of course. Do you start anybody else? I guess Pitts because of the tight end designation. But do you even really want to start Drake London because he's in London, or I know it's silly, but
I mean, for the name value, I haven't considered that aspect of it. I'll probably give him a 1-point bump there. But no, I mean, you just can't start any. You can't start any pass catchers on this team with any confidence. I mean, we've seen what it looks like when they actually pass the ball a decent amount, 38 times. I've given Arthur Smith a lot of shit, and I still don't think it's a winning game plan, going forward for them. But I see why they run the ball a lot.
Yeah, Ritter's so inaccurate.
He's terrible. So even with both these guys getting peppered with targets, a lot of them were just not catchable at all. So yes, I actually feel good about starting. Let me rephrase. I never feel good about starting Kyle Pitts, but in this game against the Jaguars, I think it's about as good of a time to start him as any time to start him in the tight end spot. And if he does happen to get in the end zone and score a touchdown, oh my gosh, it will be, I will put up generational numbers on the trade market in terms of offering this guy for a trade. There might be 38 trade offers made.
Yeah.
Just to get
I am now, you kind of, and I talked about it in my solo episode, but you talked about Never Najee. I am on the Never Pitts train.
Yeah.
As long as he's on Atlanta with this current regime and quarterback, like, okay, if they draft like a nasty QB and he actually is viable, that's different. But as of now, I am a Never Pitts guy because this is his third season now.
Yeah.
And every time he has a reason for you to be excited to start him, lets you down.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's really it on that game. Not really that much more to talk about.
No.
Over-under's 43. It should be an all right game to wake up to. And hopefully it's fun.
Hopefully Trev figures it out. One touchdown in his last 2 games is not optimal. That is not ideal.
No, and that week 2 game against the Chiefs, he got screwed over by his receivers just being out by a freaking, pube like 3 times. I think he's going to have a better game. I think he's going to throw for 2.
I expect him to. Are we? I know I'm hovering here just a little bit, but there's one more thing that I saw. The AJ Terrell potential cover on Calvin, like, does that kind of change how we view that at all?
Not for me. I think there's a good chance if Calvin Ridley hasn't scored by like the 4th quarter and the Jags are winning, they're going to force feed him. Like I think they both are like, we want to get you a touchdown against your old team. There is something to that.
I certainly hope so. I want to see a little more fireworks from an offense that I overall had a lot of preseason hype for. Oh, and ETN started.
Well, of course, for starting to. All right, so the Commanders versus they're not the Dirty Birds. They're like I'll call them the.
They're the Dirty Birds to you.
They're the disgusting, nasty birds. I can't stand them.
The filthy birds.
That's a good one. I like that. Over under 43. Philly's a huge favorite. They're at home. Sam Howell, the king of the glue hands that can't get rid of the damn ball, versus a nasty pass rush. It's gonna be ugly, dude. Take the over. Take the over. So questions in this game, man. Like, can you trust Terry McLaurin? I see you have that as a note. Or Jahan Dotson? No. Any other pass catcher on that team? No. Terry McLaurin, honestly, man, he's at this right now. Again, the way it is with Sam Howell, he's basically like a flex. You hope for him to score a touchdown kind of play. Sadly.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason that I would play him, of course, is he's the number 1 receiver, the potential for a very negative game script early. Like, all of those things can usually lead to like good things for fantasy receivers, but it's not guaranteed. That's not guaranteed because those 2-minute drills can just as easily go to garbage or just Philly's been a little susceptible to pass catchers because like a lot of their corners are banged up. Bradbury is hurt, but dude, I just think that it's going to be ugly all day for the Commanders, and you're just not going to get much production from any of your Commanders. I don't think so. I would be surprised. I mean, somebody might make a big play just because they're great athletes out there. I mean, anyone's capable of making a big play, but I think for the most part, it's going to be an ugly day for the Commanders. And your Eagles, start them all. You start them all. You can probably even start Gainwell. He's being overshadowed by Swift right now, but he got 16 opportunities in a game where Swift was the main talking point again. So he's flex worthy as well. And then your pass catchers, you're starting. Yeah.
Hurts,
pretty much everybody that you would have started on the Philly side, you start. The only question I have, and we can probably move on from this game where Philly is going to do disgusting things to their face and butt for most of the day. RB1 or an RB1 on the season, Brian Robinson, I don't think is an RB1 this week. How do you view him?
No, he's an RB2. He's an RB2 that the game scripture is not going to be in his favor, but knowing Ron Rivera and having Sam Howell back there, he's going to get enough opportunities. You just hope that maybe he breaks off a big play or two and one's for a touchdown. He's still startable. He's an RB2.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the luxury to move on from him this week in your running back room, I'm jealous, but you probably don't have that choice.
Well, and then there is something to be said. His production last year was how they beat Philly. There were a surprise,
funny, interesting
upset. So they're probably going to try to go back to that again. I think Philly will be ready for it this time, but they're probably going to try to go back to that well again. So that's enough on this game. These NFC East jerk-offs.
We have a fun game on tap next.
Dude, Miami versus Buffalo, man. High scoring, 53.5.
Woo-wee!
Fun times, man. Fun times. How many points does Miami score this week?
Oh my gosh, probably not 70. And I do have to take a quick minute since I wasn't on the last pod to recognize how wild and generational it is to put up 70 points in an NFL game. It's kind of like that's like college energy, right?
Yeah.
Like that is not something that you ever see. So I think that's a perfect storm of Denver being horribly bad and Miami being an unstoppable juggernaut on offense. And I gotta eat. I think I'm going to eat half a crow here because I knew Miami was going to be really good on offense. I did not know they were going to be fucking legendary and this good on offense. And in particular, the running game. That was the surprise for me, is their ability, like I know they do a lot of zone stuff and they're pretty creative in the way that they'll open things up for the run game. And that's actually been the most impressive thing to me. Like I knew that the Waddle Reek thing was going to be a thing. Like that was not my concern, but Raheem and Achan is that how you say his name now?
I don't care. It's a name.
Yeah. So them being able to just absolutely like run wherever they wanted to on the field was super impressive. I thought that was crazy.
Mike McDaniel is the first that I can remember, the first offensive guru disciple of Kyle Shanahan, because we've seen Robert Saleh get hired and we've seen DeMeco Ryans get hired.
Yeah.
Now Mike McDaniel came and he's bringing that. I don't know if it's the same exact system. I'm not going to pretend that I watch a game in the broadcast and say I know exactly what happened in every play.
He's inspired by it for sure. Yes. It's inspired by it, but dude, it's spicier. I think
he's got the speed to do it.
Yeah.
So
it's speed kills, man. That's crazy. But just take a quick moment before we jumped into this game.
So, something crazy too is Raheem Mostert is the RB1. That was a pickup for me in a league. Somebody dropped him before week 1. Crazy, man. Fantasy football is insane.
I know. Raheem walking IR. Mostert is going to have his first healthy year when I scratched him off my draft board. But I digress.
You suck at fantasy. My God. Why are you here right now? Dude. Okay. So this actual game that we're supposed to be talking about.
Yes. Send everybody in. Send them in.
I agree. And guess what? It's going to be a letdown.
I know, dude. Isn't that how it always works?
It's going to be like a 23 to 18 game.
Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. I don't want that. Come
on. It always
on.
seems to happen, right? Like
it does. Like
it's division games. The teams know each other. They play each other tougher. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a good game. Obviously, based off what we've been seeing from both these teams in the last few weeks, just start all the studs. You can always put in Gabe and hope for a bomb touchdown. Achane is startable. Achane, whatever. Mostert, startable. Obviously, you're going to start Hill and Waddle. I mean, yeah, you don't have to say anything about that. James Cook, is he ever going to get in the end zone? I don't know. But, dude, he's been a very productive back even without scoring.
Yeah.
He's just got to break a long one because once they get into the 5, it's pretty much the UCF cockroach, Latavius Murray, who never goes away. So, yeah.
No, it's I do think, will it hit the over like I hope? Probably not, but like Vegas gets these lines pretty dang close. I think that
usually
I will say this. You asked me before, is Miami going to put up crazy numbers? Of course not going to put up 70, but I think Buffalo's defense is legit, and I think they will do more to bother the speed of Miami a little bit, but not enough to make me concerned about starting any of their players on offense that I wanted to start. I do think that Milano in the middle of the field is as good as anybody of dissecting plays. I think the pass rush can heat up too a little bit, but ultimately, I think it's going to be a game where Miami's going to find a way to score, and Buffalo's going to have to find a way to score also. And I think that they're going to score a little bit more than Miami. And I've got Buffalo in this game.
So I talked about them briefly, but with the game script we think it might be, do you feel comfortable? Maybe not comfortable. That's not the right way to say it. Would you pick up and start Latavius Murray in a pinch?
Ooh, it would have to be a bad pinch. I'm very grateful I don't have that pinch. I think you can, because clearly he is their like fall forward into the end zone guy, but he's not
really good at it.
He's good at it, but he's not the only guy they have for that. It could just as easily be Harris. It could just as easily be Josh Allen himself. Yeah. So I think that's a really scary decision to have to make. But based on what we've seen in the first 3 weeks, yeah, I mean, he's about as good a bet as anybody to be a guarantee. I don't know if he is or he isn't. I'm not ruining anything here, but he's one of those random ass players that we might throw out there. The only other quick note in this game, we mentioned him earlier, but Achane obviously had an amazing game. Are we chasing that? Is he in and lit up, throughout the rest of the year, or is he a guy that we have to kind of wait and see on a little bit more? What do you think about that?
I think if you picked him up for an insane amount of fab, you kind of got to just put him in for the heat check. Like leave him in for your heat check. And if he scores again, listen, he's not going to score 4 touchdowns. Okay. Sorry. But if he scores and if he's out there enough, making a few catches, the guy's a big play waiting to happen. There's no reason, and if you ask me, unless you're just insanely stacked at running back, to not play him. Just play him, and if he disappoints you, okay, now you kind of have a better understanding of what he's going to be going forward, because that was just a dream game for their offense, just a dream game. So yeah, I'm starting him if I have him. I'm starting him for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's absolutely worthy of a flex after that. And like you said, you're pot committed at that point. But it is a little scary for me that it's like, okay, you played 10% of the snaps the week before. It's like if that same game script hits again, you're going to be you're not going to be having as much fun as everybody else in that Miami Buffalo.
Sure, game. But these rookies are the most susceptible candidates to make a big jump seemingly out of nowhere, where their coach is like, all right, you've earned my trust. Go ahead, play.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on a bit. Next game, we've got 0-3 Minnesota versus 0-3 Carolina.
Something's got to give.
Oh, yeah, they're going to tie for sure.
That would be awesome.
I think Minnesota wins this game.
Yeah, I think it's a get right.
Well, I think Bryce Young is back. And he's a young quarterback that needs to develop. He's a little bit slow when processing out there right now.
Super quick pause. I think it's really funny that you said that because it seems like it's been the opposite of what we thought kind of going into the season, or the rhetoric around CJ Stroud and Bryce Young was more NFL ready, faster processor, was going to pick things up faster. But it seems like that's been the exact opposite for each quarterback. I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, CJ Stroud just playing with confidence and swagger, where Bryce Young looks a little bit like Black Zach Wilson out there. Like he's a little bit slow processing right now, and he'll get it. I think he'll get it. But
don't be mean. Don't be mean to Bryce Young. No one deserves the Zach Wilson tag. It's not time for that yet.
That's a little extreme. I'll admit to that. But Bryce is just a little bit behind on his like speed of the game, I think. And it does concern me a bit that he's the size that he is in the NFL, where Stroud is a little bit more stout. So yeah, I mean, Stroud looks like he's transforming that team, at least that offense, into like, okay, we're not slouches anymore. Like we can play, we can hang, we can make big plays. It's not as much of a struggle.
Everyone except Dame Pierce. Womp womp. Let's get back to this game before I get too sad.
This game. Yeah. Okay. So
Minnesota.
Let's stick in the Carolina side because I was already talking about Bryce Young. Back from the dead, fucking Adam Thielen.
Yes.
Loved what I saw last week. It was with Andy Dalton though. And Andy Dalton, say what you will, he is still an NFL caliber quarterback. And he had a good connection with Thielen. So
yeah, he did. Oh my God.
Without him, it's probably not going to be as great, but he's got DJ Chark, who is like pretty much another version of Gabe Davis, and then
Mingo's out with a concussion.
Mingo's out, and hasn't even developed yet. Only trustworthy pass catchers on this team are Hayden Hurst, he's pretty average, and Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
So
he's going to get a ton of work, and especially against this trash defense. Oh man, he's going to go crazy, and that's not great for me.
And we don't even know if Sanders is going to play yet. He might not. He's questionable. The running back, Sanders has gotten a lot of targets. He doesn't seem to know what to do with them ever because it was the same thing in Philly. I don't know if that's on the QB or what, but I don't know. He seems like, I got 5 catches. He's like that meme with Anakin Skywalker and Padme. It's like, you got 5 targets, so you got like at least 30 yards receiving, right?
So you gained over 10 yards, right?
You gained over 10 yards, right? No, I didn't. I got like 7 yards. It's weird. Chuba's an option for real. Like if he doesn't play. Chuba's a good start.
Okay, so so are you saying Chuba? I say Chuba. I don't know if that's right or not.
That's fine. Chuba. I get Chuba sounds right to me, honestly.
Okay, is Chuba an RB3 flex consideration for you, or is Chuba an RB2?
That's an obvious roster construction cop-out answer, but like I wouldn't force him into my lineup, but I wouldn't be scared to put him in. Let's put it that way. Like, so, okay, I'll tell you right now. I have already started. This is a real life example. I've already started Aaron Jones, fail. I have Bijan as my RB1, and I have Alex Madison in my lineup right now. I could start Chuba if Sanders doesn't play, but I'm still gonna stick with Alex Madison.
Okay, that's a great comparison and a great pivot into the Minnesota side of things. The pass catchers we were going to start in Minnesota, we're going to start them anyways. There's no,
of course,
we don't need to talk about that. But Alex Matt is the question mark.
He is.
How are we feeling about Alex Matt going into Week 4?
I am starting him because of the matchup with the butthole clinch at about 50%.
Okay.
Because Cam Akers is there now. I don't think Cam Akers is some world beater, but it feels like they had.
But neither is Alex Matt, seemingly.
No, he's not. And he's fumbled a lot. I think that's kind of where we're at, is like, if you fumble again, Alex, Cam Akers is coming for that job. Like, you need to hold on to the freaking ball.
It's like, you know what? If you fumble, we're going to go to Cam Akers, who doesn't fumble and only gains 2 yards a carry. But at least he doesn't put the ball on the ground.
Yeah,
what a terrible decision.
Alex Madison needs to have a good game to solidify that he's the one. And I think he's going to be given the opportunity to do that, but it can change very quickly. So my butthole is halfway clinched on that one, but
yeah.
But
I'm at I think I'm at like a 57%.
Prove it. Show it
right now.
Show it.
YouTube.com/New World Fantasy.
All right, there you go. Now we're getting our clicks. We need Taylor Swift and Britney Spears dancing with knives.
Is this a fantasy football podcast or an OnlyFans?
Only fantasy.
Should we move on to Cincy, Tennessee after that weird transition?
Well, one more thing. You can always throw KJ Osborne in if you're desperate. He's capable of a big play and a score every so often. So with that pass happy offense, I actually think he's still getting more snaps than Addison right now. So
that's crazy, because I think Addison's been pretty productive, but that is, like, now that you say that, I think that is definitely true.
You catch a couple long touchdowns, your numbers are going to look good.
Yeah, no doubt. When bye weeks start rolling in, some of these dirtier starts are gonna be more important. Right now, I hope no one has to do that. But yeah, no, that's a good call out.
All right, yeah. So Cincy, Tennessee, only 2.5-point favorites. Am I reading this correctly? Over a struggling. I guess, Cincy has struggled too.
That's what I'm saying. That like I had to double check that too. But yeah, super wild. And I see now that I missed it in the notes, but I think it's a pretty over under.
I'm gonna guess. Hold on, don't tell me. 42.5.
So close. 41.
Okay. Yeah. So, man. Okay. So you are the proud manager of Derrick Henry. How you feeling?
Not very proud. Obviously he had one great week
against me.
Right. Yeah. I'm happy about that. That's cool, I guess, for my one win so far on the season. But I told you before that like my concern meter was in yellow. We're getting close to red territory, right? Like, he's not getting 100% of the snaps. It doesn't look like he's going to keep getting 100% of the snaps, because they're going to keep working Spears in. And it's the consistently bad offensive line and quarterback play that put them in negative game scripts that let teams key in on the run. So it's scary hours right now. I'm not panic trading or anything yet. Like, I think Derrick Henry is still worth more on your roster than he is being traded for peanuts right now. I just don't think that's a thing that you should do right at this juncture, because Derrick Henry has proven in the past that regardless of the offensive line, regardless of anything else, if he's given the opportunity and he has a couple guys to beat, he can still get to the end zone. And I haven't seen anything on tape for him that is telling me that he's cooked. I don't think he's cooked. I think he's more of a victim of circumstance right now. The concern is, of course, those circumstances don't seem to be changing. So that's where I'm at with it.
I'm 100% in agreement there, man. Yeah, everything you said. It's just a TLDR, that thing. It's not that he's cooked. It's his situation is ass, and it's new to him having a back that's capable behind him.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
or alongside him. It's not even really behind him right now. Alongside him. So Tannehill, don't start him ever. He sucks.
Yeah. No, God.
He's washed. He's
No Treylon Burks. So like D Hop is going to continue being a target monster of bad targets on a bad team. So if you need a flex play, he's probably fine.
Yeah, he's a good candidate this week. I think he's going to I think he's going to score a touchdown this week, though. I do. Okay, so that's really all there is to talk about on Tennessee's side of the ball. I mean, that's really it. You're not starting anybody else. Okay.
Now more sadness to talk about.
Cincinnati, man. Joe Burrow's like inability to really be himself right now is depressing.
We did get some positive. I mean, look, this could all be coach talk, right? But we did get some positive reports out of practice after I already decided to bench him. We'll see how that works out. But you know, I love Thursday Night Football. It's my favorite.
I hate. You know what I like? Okay, so I'm gonna rant very, very quickly. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm gonna just do this. I like that there's football on Thursday. I fucking hate having to make fantasy decisions on Thursday. If Aaron Jones
make intelligent decisions,
if I would have known that there was a chance for me to start Chuba over Aaron Jones, I wouldn't have fucking done it.
Right.
Fuck, dude. It should have. Oh, anyway. Okay, that's it.
Yeah. And so I mean, in my example, right, like my quarterback and running back position are both locked in and ass because, you know, I had to make a panic pivot from my Cincy option. But regardless, look, the reports coming out of out of practice rather.
Yeah.
Is it sounds like Joe is closer to himself, looking good. You know, is this coach bullshit? I don't know. But I'll latch on to it for now since, you know, I have nothing else to latch on to with Joe Burrow. And I do think this is a good chance for them to get right. Tennessee's pass defense is awful, which is another thing working against Henry because of the negative game script. But, you know, I think that you were pretty much going to start your Tennessee pass catchers anyway. But did I say Tennessee? Sorry, Cincinnati people. I think you were going to start them anyway, but I think you can start them with more confidence. Joe Mixon, still Joe Mixon. You're starting him, but like, you know, with probably flaccid erection.
Yeah, you need him to fall in the end zone in this game. I mean, Tennessee's rush defense is number one last year. It's number one this year already. Mike Vrabel doesn't let his guys get run on. That's just – but he's like, all right, I'll let you pass on me all day, but I'm so fucking big and strong, I'll let you fucking run on me.
What is up with these high T coaches, man? Like, it's like, you know, passing the ball hurts more. Like, that hurts your defense more.
But he played linebacker for Bill Belichick.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I think you're a little more concerned about Joe Mixon, but you're going to start him no matter what. So I think since he takes the game, I think we see a little more from their past game than we saw last week. And hopefully, because I need this to happen, hopefully this is them slowly starting to look more like themselves.
With this matchup against the pass funnel Tennessee and maybe Joe B's limited passing downfield ability, Tyler Boyd feels like a bit of a sneaky start in a PPR league. Like, he can get 8 or 9 targets, get you 12, 13 points. I mean, he's not really usually going to be an end zone guy, but it's not impossible. So for him to score a touchdown.
That's a good call. I like that. I like that a lot, actually.
So, okay. Their tight ends are useless over there, by the way, so don't bother.
Yeah.
Okay, so Baltimore, Cleveland. The Baltimore injured squad. It seems.
Oh my God! Do they have any players left? How ridiculous is their injury report, man?
Yeah, they are so banged up, man. It's insane. Like, Odell out, which, man, Odell, he's got to be on that quick track to quasi-retired.
I told you all. I told you all he was cooked. Told you all.
But like, it's a shame because he's just too injured to play in the NFL, man. It seems like he's like a max 5 games a year guy at this point.
Just for fun, do you want me to rip off the long list of injuries?
Yeah, do it.
Justice Hill, questionable. Rashad Bateman, out. Odell, out. Ronnie Staley, doubtful. These are big names, by the way.
Yeah.
Tyler Linderbaum, questionable. David Ojabu, out. God, I'm not going to try this one. Odafe Owa, out. Marlon Humphrey, out. Kyle Hamilton, questionable. Marcus Williams, questionable. That's like 3 critical players on offense.
That's
and
like 8 starters, dude.
Dude, for real. How wild is that?
That sucks. And Cleveland is nasty. So their defense at least is nasty.
Particularly, those are starters on the offensive line, which is a heavy concern against this defensive front from Cleveland. Yeah.
So Lamar is one of the most capable quarterbacks in the league of escaping pressure. So
fair. That's fair.
So that's what they have going for them. In fantasy, that's great for you. But man, this game isn't just sad. Rashad Bateman and Odell Beckham, both just injury boys. Like their careers are just on a very steep downward slope.
Yeah.
Just because of injuries, man. It sucks.
Yeah. Rashad still has time, but it's that time's running out. It's not looking good.
He's just like a quieter version of Kadarius Toney, though, man. He's always hurt. He's always hurt. So shame. Any running back worth starting is I guess Gus Edwards is going to play, right? You didn't.
Yeah, I was going to say if Gus is a go, I think he's a go. I definitely think he's a flex play.
Bad matchup for him, but he is a touchdown capable player. They do use him in the goal line a lot.
Right.
So,
and just the fact that I think we're going to talk about this in some other matchups here, but like when you have a dual threat quarterback that is like a true dual threat in Lamar. Man, like it revived the careers of like these cooked running backs, like the Devontae Freemans of the world and whatever, like because the defense has to stay honest to those guys. So Gus Edwards, I think he's a play. I think he's at least a flex play in this matchup, even in a bad matchup. Zay Flowers by himself should get a ton of targets.
Yep.
A lot of short yardage stuff last week. I didn't love that. But I mean, in terms of wide receivers, I mean, he's it. So short yardage, long yardage should go to him in theory.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get Lamar's gonna be peppering Flowers and Mark Andrews all day, and he might throw a deep one to Aguilar, who if he scores pisses you off because no one's starting Aguilar in fantasy, but
or Aguilar will just drop it.
That could happen too. But yeah, so that's really it on Baltimore side of the ball. Cleveland.
Yeah, Lamar's going to have to run. If you're a fantasy manager, you want to see him run. They have to neutralize and slow down that pass rush.
I think he's going to. The way Myles Garrett is playing right now, they want to avoid him at all costs. Like
if Lamar was a statue quarterback in this game with those injuries in the O-line, I would be afraid for his life, straight up.
For sure. Cleveland, though, man. We're starting Amari Cooper.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like Deshaun's going to play.
I think Deshaun's going to play. You're starting. For me, I have Jerome Ford in the league. I'm not starting him just because. Excuse me. I'm starting 4 running backs: Josh Jacobs, Raheem Mostert, James Cook, and Javonte Williams. I feel like those are all good options, but
brag about your running backs some more, bro. For those of us that lost Nick Chubb, way to rub it in our faces.
All I'm saying is that he is right there to being in my lineup if I didn't feel like the matchup for like Javonte was so good.
Is he a 2 or a 3? I guess that's what people really want to know.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a solid 2 in most leagues. It just depends on where you're sitting on your running back depth, and I just have good matchups. I feel with those guys, so. But whatever. Yes, Jerome Ford's a start. That's all.
I agree. I'm a little bit more on the RB3 side than RB2 side. I saw 8 opportunities for Kareem last week. Do they work him in a little more? Does he maybe steal a touchdown? Like, I don't know. So
Could happen.
I think Ford's a little closer to a 3. But again, if you have Ford on your team, probably means that you have to start him. And I expect Cleveland to actually win this game. So that bodes well for the running game.
Yeah.
Do
Elijah
we wanna,
Moore.
Are we? Oh, you want to talk about Elijah Moore? Okay.
Yeah, Elijah Moore, dude. Like, I think he's going to have a decent little game. I have some faith.
He's a PPR play for me. He's a PPR for sure.
Yeah, I actually like him this week. I'm not going to say it's a smash game, but yeah, I think he's whatever you said. I agree. PPR flex guy. I think you can throw him in, and you'll be all right.
We ready to go to the next one?
Yeah, man, we good.
I feel like people can. I feel like people can
and
kind of
Njoku-
our
hold
picks
on.
as we
And
go,
Njoku's
but I don't
playing,
think we've been making picks.
Right, and Njoku's playing, right? He had that crazy thing where he got burned.
Yeah, he's gonna play.
Okay.
I forgot. We were gonna talk about this at the top, but I forgot about that. He hurt himself around a outdoor bonfire or fire pit. Total rookie move. I guess he burned his hand. He burned his face. I suspect some adult beverages were involved in that scenario. I can't see how else you could burn yourself around a fire pit. I've been around fire pits quite a bit in my day. So yeah, I mean, rookie move. I'm a little disappointed for Njoku, but it sounds like he's going to play anyway.
He's kind of a fringe starter even at tight end with that happening, and then just his production has been so blab. I don't know. I wish he was a better like fantasy asset, but just not. So
yeah stop making s'mores and watch some film, bro. Come on.
So Pittsburgh versus Houston. You know, Paul, you didn't have it here. What's the over-under of that game and who's the favorite and all that?
Oh yeah, I totally missed that. My bad. Still have Seattle on the brain. So it's Pitt -3 with a 42 over-under. I'm actually a little. Well, no, I'm not really surprised that line. Actually, it's close to being a pick 'em,
dude.
But home dogs to Pittsburgh.
I am taking Houston. Houston's gonna fucking win.
Are they gonna fucking win, or are they gonna fucking whoop that ass?
They're gonna win. But
okay. I was trying to see how crazy you were willing to get.
I don't think Houston. I think their defense is still bad enough that it's gonna be hard for them to whoop anybody's ass. But like,
you have Houston.
I don't have faith that the Steelers can capitalize because Houston is a bad run defense, and the Steelers are committed to a slow running back who I don't think is going to really punish Houston. You know,
this is true. I don't know about punishment. You know, I have Pittsburgh in the game, not by a lot. I think that line's pretty good. I think their defense is going to win them this game. I don't think their offense is going to really do very much, but CJ Stroud has really impressed me. I like him a lot. I'm fading him in fantasy this week. I think that he is going to get very physical and personally close with TJ Watt all day.
Yeah, that's always a possibility. TJ Watt's fantastic, but
still no Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah, that's a shame for them. I just feel like Houston has figured something out with this drop back passing game. And the Steelers, yes, they can bring the pressure, but they give up big plays. And between Nico Collins and my new personal favorite crush, Tank Dell, dude, I just think that's some big plays are going to happen, and the Steelers are going to look like idiots. So,
okay.
Anyway,
so it sounds like Tank's in for you. Is there enough room in this game for you to start Tank and Nico?
Yep, I would start him.
I'm less bullish on Nico. I like Tank just because I think he's really talented, and obviously he's small. I get it. Like I don't, they gave him the name Tank. I think maybe that was wishful thinking. He's not a tank. But I think there is room for one good pass catching game in a low over under against a very capable defense, despite the fact they do go with some plays. And then my only note that I had to myself here, I appreciate the shout out of Never Najee. I've been banging that drum for a couple years now. But I will say this. This is the week that you've been waiting for if you're a Najee Harris manager. This is actually the week to start him. It won't look great. Obviously, like you said, he's not going to punish him. No, probably not. I don't think he's capable of punishing anybody. But listen, man, Zach Moss had a good game against this team. Like, I think Najee will put up some fantasy numbers against Houston's run funnel defense. And when that happens, I am making the recommendation to every Najee manager out there. Sell, 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 like that crazy money guy on TV. Like, this is the time you get one good Najee game that he's going to get this year. Sell him for anything. If it's a bag of peanuts, it's a bag of peanuts. Make him someone else's problem. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, man. Sell that shit like it's fucking Flex Seal.
But wait, there's more.
Yes, this is the week you've been waiting for. You might barely get double digits from Najee. 11 points. There's my prediction for that guy.
Yes, yeah, you will get a barely startable running back game, but for Najee Harris, it will be good.
Maybe this is the week where they wake up and put Jalen Warren in more. But anyways, okay, so we've kind of bounced all over in this game. Pittsburgh, we'll just start with Pittsburgh. We'll stay with Pittsburgh, I guess. Najee, I think Warren is actually a startable player. He's a flex guy.
Yeah, I think both are running backs to me.
He's the guy that, yes, against this team, he is the one that's more capable of big plays. So one big play makes your fantasy week, especially if they score a touchdown. Well, really, it has to be a touchdown. Yeah, otherwise it needs to be more than one big play. But you get what I'm saying. Najee,
I'm good with that. I would definitely put
Warren's capable of that. The guy that I'm a little concerned about, but I'm going to start him, is George Pickens.
Mm-hmm. The Houston thing, the Houston effect.
Right, where like, oh, we just don't need to throw the ball. But I just, like I said before.
But if you think Houston's going to win, they kind of need to, though.
That's the thing. I am predicting a closer game script. Well, I guess so is Vegas, right? 3 up, basically. Yeah, I just don't think Steelers are really going to capitalize like that. So I'm still starting Pickens, not with a ton of confidence, but I'm starting him. You're starting Freiermuth. He's got a good connection with Pickett, especially when it's getting close down to the red zone there. So you start Freiermuth. Everybody else is basically like a dart throw, Calvin Austin. Don't ever start Allen Robinson ever. If you do, like, I'll personally come to your house and kick you in the ass. And that's really it for that team. Houston.
We touched on Houston. I'll let you wrap us up on Houston because I've made the only points that I cared to make there. But I did have one question for you before we moved on. Okay,
so Houston, I am starting with full confidence. My man, the War Laptop, Tank Dell, love him. I think you can start Nico Collins. He's always going to be a red zone threat. He's a big dude. He's a talented guy who was injured and stuck on a crappy offense for a while. He's a good player. Robert Woods is kind of like a PPR start. You can start him in your flex, and you might end up with enough catches to be happy with that. But the guy that's really, I think, very difficult to start right now, of course, is Dameon Pierce.
Yeah.
And, I don't see how that gets too much better against Pittsburgh. I think it's going to be tough sledding for him again.
If you can sit Dame Pierce, I recommend it. I think / hope that better days are ahead. for Dame Pierce. Like if they get a little healthier along the offensive line, again, it's encouraging. CJ Stroud has got some juice. So like if a team now has to factor in that they have to defend Houston the passing game, does that loosen things up in the running game? Like I think going forward, there's some hope. But Dame Pierce in this game is still a fade, unfortunately.
Would you rather start Damian Pierce or Alex Madison this week?
Give me Madison. Just because
even though you besmirched him earlier, Zach Moss?
No, I'll start Dame Pierce. Zach Moss sucks.
Does he? Getting all the work over there, being productive.
He was productive in Houston. You like the same thing that I said about Najee.
Didn't he have another good week before that?
Moss. Huh?
Didn't he have another good week? Or no, last week against the Baltimore.
You
were on hiatus, so you didn't see it.
Well, and that very well may be true, but I'm still not a Zach Moss guy. I do not believe in him whatsoever. And yeah, it's possible for him to have a good game again. Like of course, we're going to talk about this. You know what? We'll save this discourse because we're going to talk about it in this next game. But no, I do not have a ton of confidence in Zach Moss. However,
he scored 21.5 points against Baltimore. Okay, we're moving forward.
Give me Dame over Zach. I do not like Zach Moss.
Okay, fair enough.
I did have one small question for you before we move on from Pittsburgh. I got to know, where did the War laptop name come from? I don't get it.
Tank, something used for war. Dell is computer.
Okay. I gotcha. All right.
Any small too, which laptops typically are smaller. I mean, not so much. There's a lot of bigger ones now, but you know what I mean.
I just didn't pick up on the Dell thing. Like that was clever. Little punish.
I do what I can. Okay. We'll just start with Indy and we'll talk about Zach Moss since we're already talking about that subject. Zach Moss has been one of the godsends, one of the people who all the zero RB guys have been happy to talk about. So I hate that crap. Like, zero RB can absolutely work. Yes, can be a fantastic strategy, but sometimes it's just a perfect situation for it to work. Like all these injured running backs right off the rip. It doesn't always work, guys. I mean, it can work sometimes. It doesn't have to always work.
And in most cases, Zach Moss was taken off the waivers. So if you just didn't have the gumption to grab him or make the waiver claim on him or what have you, the zero RB thing doesn't work in your favor if you don't just grab him, right? Because, most people didn't have him.
And then it's a big risk because if you spend up on these waiver wire running backs that don't pan out, now you're completely asked out of the running back market. So you got to trade one of those wide receivers that you covet so much. But anyways, any strategy can work. Zach Moss is in another good spot to do well, I think. I think this is going to be a pretty fast-paced game with Anthony Richardson back. And 45.5 over under. Is it a pick'em game, right? Or close
pretty
to
much. It's I think Rams -1.
Okay.
It is Rams.
In my eyes, that's a
45.
So,
yep.
45.5 in a pick'em game. Like Zach Moss is going to have another good game. He's getting all the work.
I'm going to make a bet with you around that.
Go for it.
I think Zach Moss is under 3 yards a carry in this game.
Under 3 yards a carry.
Yep. Or maybe we'll set a line. We should set a line with each other.
What about fantasy points? 15.
Oh, I like that.
I'm over.
Oh, under.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Virtual handshake.
Zach Moss will be under 15 fantasy points in this game.
I'm going to write this down over here.
He is going to he is going to be on his back with Aaron Donald in his face. for quite a large.
Can there
portion.
be? Is there an injury stipulation here or no? Because
Yeah, well, there's always an injury stipulation. If he gets hurt,
injured
that's
in
out
the first quarter, it's like, well, fuck.
Yeah. If he plays through at least like
Three quarters
of the game,
quarters.
yeah, we'll leave it.
All right.